On our podcast show today, we are in Taiwan visiting a old friend, but a good friend. He's always in for a good time because he is one of few people that I know that has met Alice Cooper.
Yes.
yes.
The rock and roll story I'm going to tell my grandkids.
So Otto, from a company called Cougar, is a manufacturer of a number of things that support PC DIY builders, from cases to desks and also chairs as well too, and everything in between. Of course, power supplies and also cooling as well. Otto, we're at Computex right now, which is the largest show in the world for IT products. What is your impression of the show this year?
Well, this show, I mean, the big thing about this show is how everybody is looking to the future. Everybody's looking to be future ready, and of course, everything revolves around the development of AI technology. Computex is basically the world's tech supply chain under one roof, and so everybody's moving. I think everybody's moving towards that target because it's one of those things that that we all need to be sensitive to in the tech world. That is where the world is going.
Absolutely. In fact, what the president of Computex has been saying is that this show has 60% related AI content.
Yeah. I mean, it's it's not coming. It's already here.
It's already here. And speaking of that, Cougar is a company that you might not believe that has any connection to AI on the topical sense. But, we were discussing just off camera that, Cougar is actually a very important part of that chain, isn't it?
Well, because we develop a full components ecosystem. When I say full components ecosystem, that doesn't include the actual chip. So we don't have anything that involves semiconductors, but we do have the entire support behind that, the structural support behind that. And an integral part of that is the way we leverage thermodynamics in our case design, because with the whole technology thing, the power and draw demands are only going to only increase, and so power and cooling and airflow are going to be very important. Especially, cars are going to be. They're expensive now, and you want to keep them, running as long as possible. So we're very sensitive to that, and we're trying to support that as much as we can.
Well, like Jensen does say, the more you buy, the more you save. So I don't know how that works to retiring cards sooner. Maybe you're not playing into his game there with the longevity of the equipment by cooling it very well.
But how often? I mean, we know that like the 50 series cards are out now, but how often do people change cards though?
Not often. And in the last couple of generations, people have been hanging on to them for a lot longer.
Yeah. They are very premium performing components, so we understand that the cost reflects that. But we try and keep people want to retain what they already have, and to get the most bang for their buck. But at the same time, we do also we every year we develop for what's new for that generation.
Yeah, like I know this is something that Uncle Winston is more interested in, which is the PC DIY overclocking and whatnot. Now, this actually pushes that envelope as well too, and gives mutual benefits to that market as well too, right?
Well, I mean, people are always they're always going to be users who really want to push the limits of tech, and they also want to push the limits of aesthetic. And so sometimes, in fact, we were talking about off camera. We're talking about components. I mean, you think things like PC cases. I mean, they're a box, and there are only so many ways you can design a box. But it turns out that there are actually more ways than you can think.
Yes.
And sometimes you do actually have to reinvent the wheel. So, and as a manufacturer, we know that if our users are moving in the more pushing the limits of creativity and tech, we got to keep up with that. In fact, if we're keeping up with it, we're already late. So we've got to be 2 steps ahead of that.
Yeah, you got to be like Jensen says. I've already given you the roadmap for the next 3 years, guys.
Yeah,
we do this because we just want everyone to jump on board right away.
Yeah, actually, this year's Computex, I noticed a lot of the case manufacturers having not your traditional box, right, but also the case is so modular. Plus, you're able to fit your motherboard not just in one way, because normally, traditionally, you have a motherboard which is sat like in the bottom corner or top corner, right? Now you're able to rotate the motherboard, the different orientation, face upwards, left, right, down, And this is where it becomes one of your Cougar cases where it's symmetrical, right?
Yeah, well, we have what's new on the market. It's coming out in June. In fact, is what we call the Omnics, and it's our reinterpretation of a panoramic glass case. And usually, what happens with panoramic glass cases is the glass panels on the front.
Yes,
but we place it on the top. And this symmetrical build, it gives that flexibility of orientation that Winston was just talking about. And not only is that important just from an aesthetics point of view, but it also means that you can align the GPU to make the maximum amount of use out of your cooling placements in the fan. Because if you put the glass panel on top, it means that you open up both sides, the front and rear, to say, well, ours comes with two 160s to the front and two 160s to the back. But no matter how you place the fan, it's always going to be that absolute number because of where the glass panel. Yes. Yeah. Right. Or if you have if you position the card in the middle, it's actually in both sides.
Oh, right.
So, but I mean, what you mentioned too, that's also a possibility. So that gives you, you have just so many choices.
Oh yeah,
There's so many choices.
Fantastic, right? So we do see that components are often getting a lot smarter every year. Like, I mean, we've got linked RGB fans now. They talk to each other. That's the next step in evolution where the components now start to become smarter and smarter. And speaking of smartness, AI, intelligent workflows and whatnot, I think that, if we look a little bit further forward, maybe 3-4 years from now, because of all the intelligence that's going into these components, wouldn't you think it would be a really great idea if we had the case, we had components inside, and we had all the fans talking to each other, measuring the temperature? It would actually self-optimize based on your configuration because it would measure the airflow and temperature in different chambers.
You talked about 3 or 4 years. I don't even think it's going to take that long. I think what you're talking about is 2 years, 2 years tops.
I'm just talking mainstream,
because the idea of intelligent workflow, and we were also talking about this because there is no separation of work and play now. The future is hybrid spaces. So when we talk about gaming, what we're also you probably game and work at the same place. So the optimization of that workflow becomes particularly important for that particular space. And what you're talking about, the thermal readouts and critical readouts, we are already trying to integrate that into our systems. For example, you see AIO coolers now. AI coolers are already. I mean, the chipsets are just getting smarter. You have sync with.
Some of them had 4-core CPUs in them.
Right. I mean,
8 gigs of RAM.
There are some. You see some AIO coolers which are smarter and more powerful than a laptop I had 10 years ago. You know what I mean? They're getting that sophisticated, and of course, we're talking about the sync with a hub, the motherboard sync. That's just that is how it's going, and of course, all of us are kind of just racing to kind of develop the next evolution of that.
To give you kind of a feeling of scale, if a AIO, which is an all-in-one water cooling solution with maybe 2-3 fans on top and the radiator, that CPU inside, which is smartphone grade, has more processing power than the entire 80s Reagan administration.
I think it has more processing power than the thing that went to the moon.
Yeah,
the lunar module.
That's true. That's
it has more computational power than the lunar module.
So if you think about that, I mean, it's an AIO, but it's got so much more potential. So I think that we might potentially be squandering that potential unless we're using software to utilize some of that utility.
Well, actually, odd that you mentioned that. I mean, we're baby steps. We're not a software developer, but we do have proprietary software that you install on your computer and it's downloadable from the website that syncs up with both. We will be launching a case with an LCD screen in front that again gives you critical readout. That also integrates with the AIO, and it's run through the same WYSIWYG editor. So baby steps, and what we're looking to is have something that syncs with desktop entirely. So even syncs with the operating system. So we're working on that.
Yeah, that would be great because everything's smarter. If we just integrated airflow and also temperature sensors into the exhaust,
that's eminently possible. Yeah. And we're looking for developers. We're developing a solution to that. But if I tell you any more about that, I will have to kill you. So that's
just spitballing here, imagining the future right now. That's all we're doing.
For this year's Computex, I'm seeing a lot more AIOs with the LCD screens.
Yeah.
Curved ones, square ones, but they all come with LCD screens. And like I said, the critical analytical readouts, there's apps, and the software which all runs it. They're definitely going to be a lot more AI integration with all that kind of stuff. So I think it's gonna happen.
Yeah, like these
It's
sensors,
absolutely. You know,
it's all about sensors, right? It's all about the data. And if we can figure out like this little agent that sits inside your PC, it might be a Jensen agent, it might be one of the NIMs, a Jensen airflow agent sits inside, tells you what's going
anything's
on.
possible.
Also, I didn't know that, fans, they have, say, for example, 1800 RPM, 2000 RPM. And most gamers, most people that build PCs, they don't really care what kind of, they do care what fans they have, but they don't realize how different fan speeds can affect the cooling.
Yes.
So I was talking to one guy on the floor, I won't tell you which one, but he's talking about, the guy's putting like 1800 RPM fans in the front, he's putting 2000 at the back, and then it's not actually working fully, like optimized. It's not optimized. So he said he's got a software which allows you to kind of synchronize all the fan speeds in one go, rather than individually kind of clicking on the software. You could just hit one button and it will synchronize all the fan speeds in one go, which and then optimizes the fan flow, right? Or you might want more fan flow at the back, at the front, but it's all controlled through the software. And he's saying that it's called he says something to do with a fan sync shift or something. I can't quite remember what it is.
Pulse width, I think, are you talking about pulse width modulation?
Not that. It's just about syncing the fan speed so that it's optimized. Because a lot of people don't realize that the fan speeds, if they're not optimized, you're not going to get, although it's flowing air, but it's not going to be optimized fully, right?
But where's the measurement for temp? Well, okay, so you have CPU and GPU temperature, but what about the exhaust temperature? What about the intake temperature?
Yeah.
Where's it getting that data? Is there are you adding sensors there to pick up that? Because if you, it's just like HVAC, right? Most people don't realize that the cooling inside a system, and Michael will love me for this, the friend of ours. It's an HVAC system basically, right? Intake, outtake. You measuring the flow tells you exactly what deficiencies potentially are inside the system. So as you adjust the fan speeds and as you adjust the cooling and everything, yes, GPU and CPU temperatures are important, but also overall temperature.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So, but that takes a lot of work and experimentation. But you kind of have to do it in real time, just like the AC system for this tiny room, right? The HVAC system is picking up all the signals to be able to set it at 20 degrees.
Yeah.
It has to happen, right?
And what the observation is that things are only get hotter. As things get hotter, that's going to be even more critical because, what they, and bless them, and everybody's trying to work towards the same thing, but what they haven't quite figured out is how to get all that performance at a lower temperature.
Yeah.
That's not really happening yet. So
the thing is, you're talking about graphics cards, cooling, the cases, power supplies is also getting digital now. You have digital power supplies with digital reading. Again, all that information to go with this AI cooling thing.
Yeah. 2.5 kilowatts is the target for most AI PCs.
Some guys producing a 3,000 watt, 3 kilowatt PSU.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But there's like 4 people in the world that need that at the moment. They all work for Nvidia, or Disney. But we, so talking about power supplies, of course, Cougar got their start making power supplies. That's actually how we got into the tech business.
That's right.
So we have a legacy of power supplies, and most people they're fine with the sort of the 80 range, the 80 plus range, the gold range, and we recently developed a titanium certified power supply. But like
titanium, is that better than platinum?
Yes, that is better than platinum. Titanium is the highest possible.
So how efficient is that?
That is, I'm afraid I don't have numbers off the top of my head. But it is surplus to most people's requirements.
Okay.
Like it's
probably 95+%.
It's probably got to, like, I think it's got to, because platinum's about 97.
Yeah.
Already.
Yeah.
Platinum's
97. So
platinum's 97. So titanium would be I would think it'd be higher than that. But we don't expect this to it's not a volume to sell, but it is to sort of
a flagship piece.
It's a flagship. It's a flagship. It's called the Tyson. And as I said, the need for that at the moment is not super high, but it will be in future as this
Yeah.
becomes more of a thing.
Yeah, it's definitely in the state where, you know, like every generation that Jensen puts out, he's look on stage, he's like, oh, this entire thing will use 120 kilowatts.
I mean, it's sort of it's very serious. Like you're going to need a whole power station.
Years ago, when we started building PCs, I mean, a 600-watt power supply was beefy enough. And then as you move along, 750, and then now 850. 850 I've been like using for like the last 3 years. And then realized, I'm like, 850 is enough. I got to go 1,000 watt. Now, for a decent kind of mid-range to high-end game PC, you need minimum 1,000 watt. Lower end, budget, kind of probably 750, right? That was unheard of like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And now for like the GeForce RTX high-end series, you got to get like 1,200, right? 1,200 watts.
I think the titanium. Like again, I can't remember.
It's just
my head, so
crazy.
don't quote me. I think the titanium. What we're talking about, our new titanium. I think it's 25
500 watts.
It's 25. Yeah. Like
That's crazy.
like it can push a car. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So what I'm saying. I mean, it's it's I wouldn't quite say it's a concept product at the moment, but it's just I think it's an indication of things to come.
Someone will buy it. Guaranteed.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Especially if you're running 4 GPUs.
Hey, anybody at Nvidia, if you're listening, we can help you out. We can help you out.
We need a couple of NVIDIA cards to try and test the coolers and the power supplies.
Yeah.
Jensen, call me.
So, please call.
One each and one just spare, just in case.
It's nice to fold you in a leather jacket.
Hey, we're from the same part of the world, man. You're from Tainan. We're from Tainan too.
All right. So we touched on a lot of things about the PC case and cooling. And you know, we mused about the future a little bit and how it could be a mini HVAC system as well too, self-contained, optimal performance, even though you know you got little heaters in there. Tell us about you know, like Cougar also has a division that's far removed from the company that actually does medical stuff. But if you think about what you're doing with gamers and everything, we sit there for a very long time.
I mean, I mean, it's so we're very involved. So Cougar's parent company is HEC Computex, and one of the business units, which is a little bit removed from Cougar.
Yeah.
One of the business unit actually makes medical device and medical rehabilitation equipment. You know, like equipment and furniture for physiotherapy.
Yeah.
And we have a gaming furniture at Cougar as part of our portfolio, and we do actually have medical advice, expert advice when it comes to engineering these products. And although that how that operates is I wouldn't have any idea. But I do know that we're RDing our chairs and our desks. We have advice as to how to make it body optimized and most body friendly. And it's exactly what you say, you know, and we've been involved in esports for a long time. We sponsored the VCT EMEA for the past 2 years, and we're actually sponsoring LCP this year. Okay. So we have a very good relationship with Riot for both League of Legends and Valorant. And they're esports players, they're athletes as much as anybody else. They sit and train for long periods of time, you know, and especially, and people are, I mean, they're working more nowadays as well. Work days are long and people are at their desks for a longer period of time. It's very critical to stay healthy for that, because you can't be productive if your back's completely gone.
Oh, yeah.
So we are very sensitive to that. And in fact, we have even our gaming chairs. I mean, we call them gaming chairs, but they're really they're more ergonomic, like hybrid space chairs, because we're going back to the future. The future is about hybrid spaces. People do not have separate places where they play, work, and create anymore.
They're kind of the same.
It's the same.
During COVID.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same. It's the same square
same.
meter. So we need to be sensitive. And you know, if you're gonna be playing, if you're gonna be creating, if you're gonna be working, you're at your desk. You're sitting down for like 12 hours a day.
Well, it's easy, right?
So you know, we are absolutely sensitive. We want to preserve the health of people who do that, you know, all day, every day.
No one wants their customers to die.
Absolutely no.
Let me see compare the product.
Well, the funeral business does, but
it's very good.
But so you know, that's but we want to keep people healthy. That's part of our ethos.
Yeah.
You know, and we don't want to. We want to we want to move people away from the stereotypes of gaming, of gamers being hunched over desks and living in not very well lit and well ventilated rooms. So that's where we're coming from, where that's concerned.
This is probably a very interesting application because I know that respiration rate and everything that can be measured. Smart devices can measure all that.
Yes.
With a gaming chair, with the ability to put motors in and everything to kind of
that might be an idea.
Yeah.
Remind
Massage.
just stop.
Massaging.
Well, I'm not talking massaging. Just remind you to the posture thing.
Well, actually, that's a pretty good idea. So we have various chairs come out with a pretty at the moment they're not smart systems, they're pneumatic. It's pneumatic lumbar support.
Yeah.
But you've given us an idea. We could look to integrate like an automated
and gamers, they love using the armrest.
Yes,
and they push those buttons on the thumb. Now you could put like thumb sensors on there where they can measure your heartbeat or whatever.
Well, I was about to I hadn't I was thinking we're giving away trade secrets on air here, but that we have a pushback lumbar support system, which is this thing that comes out, so it gives you a bit of pressure against your back. We might put a programmable module in there, so it depending on how long you're at a desk for, maybe every couple of hours it goes forward just that little bit more.
Just a little bit of a push. Hey, dude.
We can motorize that. I think that's something we can do. We have motorized gaming. We have the motorized sofa already. That makes you.
The sofa.
You know the sofa. You know the sofa.
Yeah.
You were on it last year. And so we can look at it. We can look at something. That's an idea. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and it's not over the top like you're like a baller gamer where you have a massage chair. You would actually have something that, like you said, the philosophy is trying to make people healthier. If you can just straighten up every 30 minutes, it reminds you. It knows that you're falling backwards.
No. That's and it's not. That's actually pretty good. I mean, the tech isn't beyond us. So I think that's a pretty good idea actually. So are we going to have to give you royalties for that?
Yes,
definitely.
Definitely.
Well, one of the things I saw mostly this year's competition is a lot of racing chairs, like in the frames, racing sims. You guys got anything for that?
Yes, we do. Well, so we're actually really ahead of the curve with that one, because last year we literally had a gaming chair that took the chassis of like a motorsports chair as its main structure, and it's marketed under the name the Hot Rod. That's the name of the product. And so because we say if we're looking to keep people healthy, motorsports athletes, people who drive the motorsport, they're under a lot of stress. It goes around corners and course. So if you have like a PFRP back that can support a motorsports racer, you can
it'll a gamer.
So that's what we did. I mean, we wasn't I wouldn't go so far as to say it's a motorsports chair, but it definitely takes its design from a product because of the stress testing that it goes and the demands it puts on whoever's in it, on the performance demands on whoever's in it. So we have one of those already, and we came out last year, so we were actually
ahead.
We jumped the gun a little bit there.
Yes.
So
all right,
very cool. Those are amazing products, and I'm glad that we had a quick look at maybe the future, maybe some things that you shouldn't have talked about, but we'll see if they manifest themselves.
What if I'm here next year? You'll know that I'm doing something right.
Yes. And this is good news about the future, because AI next is the theme this year.
Yeah, right.
But what's AI next
year?
We'll have to find out at Computex 2020.
AI next is pretty much it's going to be AI now.
AI now.
Very soon.
AI next, AI future, or anything with AI next.
So
AI really.
But
awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And here's a blast.
Awesome. Yeah, and Cougar, thank you for taking care of our health.
Yes.
Thank you for taking care of gamers. And
stay healthy and
stay healthy.
Stay gaming.
And from Winston and I, thank you so much for listening to our podcast this week. I hope you enjoy all of the Computex related content that's coming up for you. There'll be a number of interviews from the show, tips, tricks, probably from some of the somewhere along the lines, as well as interesting insights into AI from the show, as well as maybe a glimpse of the future of PC gaming and also AIs. Until next time, we'll see you again.
See you soon.
All right. See you guys later.
Bye.
Thanks for hanging.
Bye.